or if you could envision maybe a scenario where you guys don't play that as much this year as maybe you have in the past.
Yeah, we dropped a bunch of it in today, actually, and so my plan has been, to push back off. So I'll download a bunch of information, and then I'll pull back into like calling the same defense for a while, and then download a bunch of information. And we want to be able to get everything on film so we can coach off of it. Yeah, but we put it in today. And I told them we're not going to call it a Leo. We're going to call it a Jack for now, because the Leo is the king of the jungle. So when you become the Leo, that's a big deal, because you can do what a DN does and you can do what a linebacker does. So right now it's just more of what we call a Jack position. And yeah, a bunch of guys got a shot at it today. Jack got a shot at it. And yeah, there you go. I like him a lot. He's serious about it. The guy who's impressed me after the move quickly was Mitchell. Mitchell has done a great job for Coach Johnson, and then we put him in this Jack position, and I thought he showed up very well. So he's kind of been a guy who's jumped out at me.
Any other guys beyond those two that have been seen?
Yeah, JJB, right? He played a little bit today. He's kind of coming off an injury, so he got some walkthrough reps in it. Caden, I think, is a candidate, and I've liked some of the things that he's done in terms of his quickness off the ball. So he's a guy we're looking at. And then from the linebacker position, EA, we want to try to find a role for him. So we had EA involved in that Jack position, and also in a Sam position, which we'll utilize sometimes against teams when they play two tight ends, which our offense does a little bit. So we've gotten EA in there, and Reed Carrico also in that Sam position against a two tight end offense.
Fourth row left, Jacob Bench, the Lantern. Hey, Jim, just building off that previous question there, Ryan was talking a second ago about players who have played both sides of the ball versus multiple positions on the same side. About to be becoming maybe more common and whatnot. Just say, in your opinion, how advantageous is it for a player to go from running back to the other side of the ball, like still change and shift and whatnot? Just in your opinion, how important is that?
I think it's a great advantage if you utilize it, particularly in running, like I said, in the running game and schemes, and where's the escape hatch going to be, seeing what the back sees when he runs the ball, and also understanding protections, right? I mean, I think from a linebacker perspective, as much as we blitz our linebackers, that if you understand protections, how a back protects or where he protects, how the slide goes, all those technical points of the game, you can really take advantage of that knowledge.
Just on the defensive line, Tylee Williams, we had talked with him last week, and he mentioned how he's really changed his body compared to when he came to Ohio State a year ago. What are your early impressions of Tylee and just where he can go on the spring?
I love what Tyleek's doing. I'll tell you what, he really shows up on tape, jumps off the film at times. I've been really impressed with our D-line. I think having coached Johnson, who's I consider the GOAT in that area, he's and in making the transition, that group is really critical for us, and they've been impressive. I mean, really across the board. Just the way they come off the ball, I think, is going to give us an advantage. Our defense looks a lot different in team versus 7-on-7. So we compete every day against one of the best offenses in the country, the great quarterback, great receiver group. So we need that pass rush, and we look a lot different when we have those guys up front. I've been very impressed with that whole group.
Fourth row right, Jeremy Birmingham, Letterman Rock.
Jim, obviously you guys are pretty loaded at linebacker right now, as Ajay talked about a little bit, but what has been the early impression of the early enrolled linebackers with C.J. Hicks and Gabe Powers? Just how are they adapting physically to the speed of the game, that kind of stuff?
C.J. shows a lot of short space quickness, and his feet are excellent, and he has a outstanding ability to break on the ball. So I think I'm seeing from CJ a lot of the quickness and speed that I expected. And then Gabe is he's quiet, but I think he's one of these guys that gets better every day. I mean, he is a serious student of the game, and I just see his trajectory as just in 6 practices as being completely upward. You know what I mean? He's a guy who just wants to learn, wants to grow, and he makes that transition from the classroom to the field.
Good. Have Styles coming in and joining them, probably at linebacker also. How do you convince guys that are all top 30 players in the country that special teams might be their role or not at all? And for you just personally as a coach, how different is it to have that level of talent where you can just tell these guys, hey, you don't need to play right now, you just need to play?
Yeah. Sonny will start at safety. I mean, he'll begin his career at safety at least. We want to give him a shot to do that. He's big and rangy, so I get to see what he can do. But, you know, I don't talk about it that much because I want to keep pressing them to compete, right? I mean, I want to make it one day at a time. I say get better. They say every day. You know, we have these little sayings back and forth to each other. So I don't really talk about that. I just want to keep pressing and pressing and pressing, and how good can you be, where are you going to go? And then, you know, it all kind of works out. You know, just you get to the first game, and it is what it is. But Parker does a great job on special teams of showing the guys film, you know, of like Pete when he played special teams, you know, and then he was a second, you know, as a young guy, you know, so he shows them some of these first, second round draft picks and how they started on special teams. So we put that message out there, but we don't pull off or really have a conversation with them until, you know, it gets really close to the game, because we just want to keep driving them to be as good as they can be.
Third row right, Doug Lamore's Cleveland.com.
Jim, when you have a big group of linebackers like this, would you ideally rather have 2 guys seize jobs and be like, I'm not coming off the field, these are the guys, or would you rather have maybe 4 or 5 or 6 different guys that you rotate just to give a breathers or situationally this year?
Yeah, I think you'd always like to have more. You'd always like to have more. Now, a lot of times at linebacker, it does come down to just a couple guys who play and into the rhythm of the game. But you want more, because you want that ability, if somebody goes down, or to spell somebody, or to rotate. I think linebacker is a feel kind of game, you know, like a running back. So the best will play a bunch, but you want more guys that are competing. You want guys that are tugging on your shirt saying, Coach, why am I not in there? You know, and then, you know, if there's something incomplete about their game, you tell them, okay, well, this is why you're not in there. But if it's not, then you got to put them in there. You know what I mean? So you want guys that are good enough and are pressing to go, and you want as many of them as you can have.
You talked about that same position, and when you're facing 12 personnel, and you know, Wisconsin, Iowa, I guess, right? Some teams on the schedule.
Right.
I apologize. How often did you face that at Oklahoma State? How often was that a consideration in making sure you?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, we were prepared for it, and we faced a good deal of 12 personnel, but we never really had to get into it because you know, 12 didn't really play like 12. You know, so 12 was playing more like 11, and we were able to do mostly everything with our base defense. So we had the sub package, I call it, prepared, but we didn't have to use it a lot. I predict, you know, we'll have to use it more here, you know, based on the Big Ten.
Just some of those offenses, you've got to get that third linebacker on the field with the personnel that's out there.
That's right. Yep.
Front row left, Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Coach, I've noticed on your Twitter, after a lot of the practices, you put out a silver bullet of the day or whatever, and just curious what some of the parameters you're looking for. I presume it's people who are picking up concepts, playing fast, those kind of things. Just what kind of positive reinforcement does that bring, and are they competing for that every day?
Yeah, they're competing. You know, we finally gave it to Mitchell. I think was just the most recent guy, and he had been in the running. You know, we kind of let them know, also receiving votes, you know, kind of like they, you know, also receiving votes, so you're close to it. Yeah, we let them know. Yeah, it's a staff vote every day. You know, every day we have a practice in pads. We kind of go around the room after we're done watching all the film. You know, 7-on-7, inside drill, team, and guys nominate guys, and then we vote on it. So, you know, film don't lie, like they said, right? So it's just a matter of, you know, like you said, who's that guy who's not only picking up the concepts but making plays, playing with great effort.
Jericho is a guy kind of got swept under the rug last year because he redshirted. We didn't see him a whole lot. One of the many guys you've inherited here. Just what's your thought first few weeks, first couple months working with him, and has he got a chance to push his way into some playing time, perhaps?
Yeah, Reed has a chance. I mean, he's a quiet guy, but he's definitely determined, and you know, I see him making progress every day. And then we had Cade when he was with us, kind of working that Sam position as one of the guys, and put Reed in there today, and I thought he did a great job. So I think he's got a chance to really contribute in that area.
Right behind him, Bill Landis, The Athletic.
Jim, you, I guess, maybe first conceived the idea of the Jack or Leo and how you move it around. Was that more of a means to disrupt an opponent's run game or a pass game? Because, you know, you see some guys who play that they have some high sack numbers, but it also feels like it's a really disruptive position in terms of putting a wrench in what the opponent wants to do with its run game.
Yeah, it's a great question. It started definitely as a run scheme disruptor, right? Because you talk to offensive coaches, and they're always, you know, they have to make different plans for 3 down, then 4 down, and what are you, and can you do both out of the same personnel? So it starts as a run game disruptor, and then it goes to how to attack, you know, protections. And now all of a sudden, once you got the guy moving around, you got him different places. Now you see how the offense adjusts to that in their schemes, and you can come back with other things and counter in the passing game. That player is productive in terms of the pass rush because I think they develop a mentality. You know, they develop a mentality of being kind of a wild card. You know, being a guy who makes plays. I think it's a great recruiting tool. But yeah, it started in the run game. You know, take the zone read. Easy, right? So now you take that guy and you send him off the edge. Is he taking the running back or is he taking the quarterback? So that, you know, I can make 2 different calls, and you got a speed guy, a tough guy coming off the edge, and which one's he going to take? You know, it's a disruptor right there.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Letterman row.
Jim, when you talked about the download and then back it off in the spring, I would think that given the urgency to come in, get results right away, and fix it, that you want to throw everything at them. How do you balance the patience that you seem to have shown with wanting to do everything immediately?
Meditation, cigars. You know, you just got to look in their eyes because, you know, we'll go in one day and we'll download, 9 defenses in our jet package, you know, which is what we're calling for the Jack, and you know, and then you go again, you do it against cans, and you run around and do it against just trash cans, you know, and then you do it against the offense, and then, you know, I just run around like crazy saying, go here, go there, you know, because you're trying to just pound, you know, you're away from the back, you're to the back, you know, just trying to move him all over the place, and then they're fine, and then you kind of see their eyes glaze over, and then you know, okay, it's time just to call base. You know, then like, okay, give me a period to just, you know, base 4 down, and then you kind of back off. But you're right, I want to get it all in because of the urgency, but also so I can teach, right? I don't want to keep showing Oklahoma State film, so I want to get it on. I want to get it on tape, good or not so good, and then we can learn from it all summer. You know, we can put it all together and learn from it.
You envision that whether they get 1 rep or 100, that they would have seen everything you want to do by the end of spring, or will there still be stuff that you get through it?
Yeah, probably, yeah. 2/3 maybe, hopefully, by the end of the spring.
Front row right, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Jim, when you were talking about the origin of the jack, and is there a guy you coached in the past that you point to give guys an example? Or
Yeah, it all started with me at Western Michigan with a guy named Jason Babin, who was the first ever first-round draft pick in the history of Western Michigan, and went on to a long NFL career. So that's kind of the guy I point at and start with right there, you know. But we had some great examples from Oklahoma State with guys that would go in there and, you know, tackle both the running back and the quarterback, you know, and just be real disruptors. So there's a lot of film. You know, there's a whole clinic that I've done for high school guys on it, you know, that where we can show all the different positions and everything that the guy does. There's a lot of film, but it all started with Jason Babin.
Have you followed him in the Western?
Oh, yeah, we're still good friends, yeah.
How did he pop in the practice? Like, what's?
Oh, he was a running back in high school. Yeah, he was a running back in high school, like we talked about, who broke his leg his senior year and didn't play, and that's how we got him at Western Michigan. He was from Paw Paw, Michigan, and yeah, so he wasn't your typical defensive lineman, and it just kind of started to occur to me that I should try some different things with him, and he just kind of grew from there.
Switching gears a little bit, Josh Proctor, somebody who's working his way back from a leg injury and started doing individual stuff today. You probably haven't gotten a chance to see him much. Just from kind of the little glimpses, what have you kind of like noticed about him?
Yeah, I haven't seen him really do anything. We need him. We want him. You know, I've seen film on him from last year. He's a guy that can really change the game. He's what we want at safety, so I just want him to get healthy.
Front row middle, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Jim. What are your thoughts on JT Tuimoloau, maybe his role in your defense, what do you think it might be, and just your thoughts on his skill set in general?
Yeah, I think JT has got great feet, excellent takeoff. His reactions are excellent. Saw him the other day play a zone read against CJ, where he played the dive and the quarterback for negative yards. It was really impressive. Really impressive. Just got boom, boom, boom. I mean, quickness with his feet for a big guy. So I've liked everything he's done so far. I think he can be a dominant player.
I'm sure when you were hired here, you knew you were going to be inheriting some really good athletes, a lot of talent. Is it about what you expected, or is it even maybe have even more talent at your disposal than you anticipated?
I think up front, it's been very impressive to me. Changing the line of scrimmage and the rate at which we rush the passer. I think that part of it has been very impressive. The rest is what I expected.
Right behind him, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
This is a little more the acquisition. When you're recruiting that position, whether it's you're looking at linebackers who might be able to play, linemen might be able to play, are there similar traits you see in those types of people that kind of stick out when you're trying to recruit?
Yeah, it's I always talk about that short space quickness, ability to disrupt an offensive play, right? Whether you're at linebacker or you're coming off the edge, I'm really looking for guys that can be disruptive. Sometimes fit yourself into small spaces, looking for those hips, right? You're looking for the guy who can turn the corner, real fluid in his hips, and can make plays really between the tackles. And you got to be tough, right? You got to have a toughness to you, because sometimes you'll have to play in the A gap, B gap. Sometimes you're going to have to come off the edge.
Front row middle, Bill Rapinoe's Columbus Dispatch.
Good pronouncement. Hi, Jim. You've been here about 3 months. That's enough time to get acclimated. What are your how are you adjusting to a new program, a new city, the whole thing?
I love Columbus. After 4 years, I call it on the plains, life on the plains. Being a city guy, I'm from Philly, so I love the city. Otherwise, I don't know. It's just football. football, smoke a cigar every now and then. So it's really like there's not that much to adjust to when you're a coach. The way we coach, I mean, you're in here and you're grinding, and your next practice and evaluations and working with the players, and where you're going to go with the installation. So it's you kind of have blinders on, But I do like the city whenever I get out of here.
You've obviously been around. This is the place where you can get more blue chip guys than any place you've been, I'm sure. What's that like for you as a coach to know that, okay, I don't have to just scheme. I mean, I can have players who can just take over games and at least have the ability to. Do you feel like a Ken McKinney story?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I try to keep that in the back of my mind, but I want to keep, at this point, you're right. That's going to be something that will